Hey, what's up guys? In today's video, I'm gonna tell you where people are moving to Idaho from. That question comes up a lot. I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. Maybe not, we'll see. I'm gonna dive into it right now, let's go. Hey guys, our team gets calls, texts, emails every single day from people just like you trying to learn more about North Idaho. So if this is your first time to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button, tap the notifications bell. That'll keep you up to date on all of our latest content. And remember, if you're looking to move right now or 12 months from now, give us a call, text, or email. We would love to help you make that smooth move right here in North Idaho. All right, jumping in. This is something that gets brought up a lot. Where are all these people moving from that are coming here to North Idaho? There are a few obvious culprits, right? So we're gonna touch on some numbers today and see what the deal actually is with that, where they're coming from, you know, what they're changing in the culture here, if they are at all, and kind of dive into that whole thing just so you guys can get a better understanding of what's going on up here. So lots of great information. Be sure to stick around to the very end. Okay, here's the deal. First up, giving you some numbers from 2023. That's last year. I'm filming this in 24. I don't have all the numbers yet for 24, so that's why we're not going those numbers. But 23 was a big year as well. Approximately 81,700 people moved to Idaho from other states. Largest numbers coming from the three culprits I talked about, the cows, California, Oregon, and Washington. Those are the big ones, of course. Those are the ones everybody complains about. And you'll hear that a lot. Don't California my Idaho, that kind of stuff. Idaho's not the only state going through that. Obviously, any of these red states are seeing a great deal of migration coming in. Tennessee being another one, Montana being another one. So we're not alone in that. I think some people up here forget and think it's just a problem specific to Idaho, but it is not. It is definitely a migration of conservative people leaving some of these states like California, Oregon, and Washington and heading somewhere that they feel better aligns with their values. So Idaho definitely checks that box for a lot of people. It is a great place to raise your family, of course. So that's where we're seeing a lot of those numbers. And we saw it ever since 2019. I think that big migration started. It's still happening this year in 2024, and it will still happen next year and the year after that. It's going to keep happening. So whether you live up here, if you live up here and you don't like that, there's really not much to be done about it. Don't blame me. It's not my fault. Stop it. But good information to know. So let's see. 2024 data is not there yet, of course. Once we get that in, you know, we can do a follow-up and kind of see what that looks like. My guess, I don't know. It was still a big year. We had a busy year in the real estate side, so we did sell quite a few homes this year. And I would say a majority are from out of state. Don't worry if you live here and you're gonna yell at me about bringing people here. Every person that tends to work with us is similar background for the most part, definitely values align, and just wonderful people overall. So we welcome them. I think they're a great addition to the community. Nothing bad there, at least the folks that we deal with. Can't speak for everyone else out there, I don't know. Another little interesting stat for 2023, about 9,300 people moved to Idaho from other countries. I don't have the list of countries, but I did find that kind of interesting. We've seen a few of those up here personally with people that I've dealt with. So, but my guess is that a majority of those are kind of heading to, you know, the bigger metropolitan area down in Boise or Eastern Idaho, somewhere down that way. Okay, any guesses on what state had the most people move to Idaho? They have a governor that really sucks. And that actually doesn't help because there's a few states out there like that. There's beaches. And that covers the other two as well. Well, I'll just tell you, it's California. Shocker, I know. California had approximately 17,000 people relocate to Idaho in 2023. That's a lot. Not too far behind. Washington had about 14,600 move to Idaho in 2023. So they're both responsible for a good chunk of that migration here. Why is that? Well, Idaho's pretty awesome, that's for sure. And I think a lot of these conservative people, because that generally tends to be who moves here, they are looking for a space or a place. Like I said, their values align, has a great community, is beautiful in nature, and politically aligns with what they're looking for. And Idaho checks all those boxes for a lot of these people. Hey, hunters and fellow meat eaters, do you want 100% success rate of putting meat in your freezer this year? Then buy beef from Acme Acres. It's pasture raised, grass fed, grass finished, no hormones, no antibiotics, just delicious, clean, all American beef raised right here in North Idaho. Order right off the website or give them a call to get going on your custom cut sheet. And if you buy a whole beef, you get a free freezer. Acme Acres. The other benefit, and I think this is another driving factor, is that it's closer to those states where they're coming from. So for some people, moving to Tennessee from California, Oregon, or Washington is just not going to happen because they need to be closer to family, like driving distance, a reasonable distance. And I think that's where we see Idaho and probably Montana getting a lot of this population, is because it also checks that box, and that it's kind of close enough where people could do the drive in a day and get back to wherever their family might be. I did touch on, the fact, and you'll hear it a lot if you're on any Facebook groups or anything like that, you'll see people get on there and get very upset that folks are moving here from those 3 states in particular. And they always insinuate that the people moving here are going to change the culture or change the political spectrum to be more blue. I push back on that really hard because I don't find that to be true in my own experience. I only speak on things that I can actually see with my own 2 eyes and hear with my own ears, and that has been my experience. Most of the clients that we've had move up here are very conservative, just wonderful people. Lots of families looking to move somewhere to raise their kids, with values that I would say are throwbacks to the 80s or 90s, like when we grew up. So I don't see a lot of that liberal mindset coming here. And if you actually look at the numbers, I haven't looked at them a little bit, I may be off by a few, but Idaho traditionally was in the 50% range for the higher 50% range for voting conservatively. The folks that are moving here from specifically those 3 states that I mentioned are in the 75% range voting for the conservative side. So that right there tells you that Idaho is actually becoming more red as these people move in. I know that's so hard to believe for some people, but you can look up the numbers yourself. And like I said, that has been my experience. We have not had anybody call us that I would say is strongly liberal. So there's that, and it's just something to keep in mind. You'll see that out there a lot, people making that claim, but it has not been true in my experience. The flip side to that, or the argument that local people will say, is that, and they're not wrong, this migration has caused home prices to go up dramatically, particularly in the last 4 years. So that is true. But, and I think this is something local people don't realize, that is happening all over the US, and a lot of that is a function of inflation and the current state of the financial system in the US. So yes, some of it's driven by buying pressure, people that are looking to move here. There's a lack of inventory that will cause home prices to go up. Absolutely, that is happening. But also some of that is just a function of that is happening everywhere in the US. It is very unfortunate because jobs here in general, especially in North Idaho, don't pay as well as other places. So as the home price has gone up, the job or the wages have not gone up to match, and that has caused a lot of friction for some people that, say, grew up here and are trying to maintain a lifestyle here on a salary that does not match what the actual cost of living is and what the actual home cost is up here. That is unfortunate. I don't know an easy solution for that. It's talked about at city council meetings, but I don't see anything on the horizon to actually help alleviate that issue. So what are some of the reasons that people are moving here from those states? Obviously, if you're looking for a red state, Idaho definitely fits the bill. There are others out there, of course, but I think Idaho is a very traditionally red state that people are not concerned is going to switch over anytime soon. We only had 1 county vote predominantly blue out of the whole state this election cycle in 2024, and that was down in the Boise area. So northern Idaho is very much red. So if I think a lot of people are looking for that as a number 1 requirement for a place they move, and that's good to go. A couple of other things that come up: cost of living. I would say Idaho is a lower cost of living than most of these other states, especially the 3 big ones that people are coming here from. They are definitely going to have a higher cost of living, and so that's just an added benefit. You can move here, live in a very conservative area that matches your values, and most likely have a lower cost of living for, the day-to-day stuff that families need. Next up, quality of life. So if you move up here, it takes a few months, I would say, to decompress, especially if you're coming from, a place like California where you're used to crime and homelessness and really having to look over your shoulder everywhere you go, there will be some adjustment period to kind of get used to what it's actually like up here, because people will smile at you on the street and say hi, and you may not be used to that. There's no ulterior motive. It's literally just people being nice. So smile back and say hi. Don't be a jerk, and you'll be just fine. And a couple months into it, you'll be like, wow, I didn't realize how chronically stressed I was until I got up here and I started, really assimilating into the culture up here and really understanding what it's like, because it is palpable. Some folks are coming here for job opportunities, which I know I did say that jobs here, the wages are not on par with the cost of living necessarily, but that's not true for every business, right? So there is a budding technological market up here. Lots of drone manufacturers, boats, other techie stuff that I don't deal with, so I don't really know what it is, but it's here. Lots of manufacturing is coming into the area. There's some great local businesses that are just really starting to take off. And so those opportunities do exist. Obviously, they're not in as abundance as a bigger metropolitan area, right? Also, a lot of people are able to work remotely still. That may change in the future, we'll see, but those people end up here frequently as well. Why not? If you can work from anywhere, why would you work in the, LA hustle and bustle when you could go work in a beautiful place like North Idaho? Sign me up. So I think that in a way we could say that the job market is driving some people here if you look at it from those 2 points of view. A big employer up here is the hospitality industry, but from really what I'm seeing and hearing is that that's just not going to pay enough to be able to afford to buy a home up here. You could probably afford to rent something and live that lifestyle, but you'd be really pushing it. So unless you had a dual income household, which may be a necessity, or you could find some alternative employment, online employment or remote employment, or one of these bigger industries that are starting to take off up here, there could be some trouble with it. But overall, I would say that definitely is a factor pulling some people here as well. So I touched on those 3 big states, California, Oregon, and Washington. We've also had an influx of people from other states that you might not expect, like Texas. We've had a few clients come here from Texas. And I think, the feedback I'm hearing is property taxes in Texas are extremely high. It's really hot. That sucks. And, when you're dealing with some of these border states, you're dealing with a lot of migrants coming in and really disrupting the way of life for a lot of these folks. So it feels unsafe, or it's becoming unsafe, which is shocking when you think of a place like Texas. You don't expect that. And some of these bigger cities in Texas are turning blue, and that's the political side of it is really pushing people away as well. So that's a surprising one. Another one is Utah. We've had some folks move up here from Utah, not super far away, but so maybe that's an easy hop for them. Similar reasons. And Colorado's another one. Colorado also had quite a few people move up here from there. And I think a big driving factor for that is cost of living. And they are dealing with a lot of political issues over there in the way that state is being run at this point. It's pushing a lot of folks out. They're dealing with migrant problems, homeless problems, all the stuff that you're seeing in, traditionally those far West Coast states is now bleeding into places like Colorado. Arizona's another one, same thing. Arizona's also one of those states that gets really hot, and that drives some people out. So if you don't like super hot, you may end up here. Although if you don't like super cold, you might not like it here either. So there's that. But I just want to point out that there are quite a few states that people are moving here from, not just the 3 big ones. All right, that's a wrap. I think we touched on all the topics that I wanted to hit. I kind of wanted to dive into, where people are coming from that are coming here. Obviously, we all hear the big ones, especially that one big one. And, I wanted to put some perspective on the locals' thoughts on people moving here, because that is a big topic that comes up. You see all the nasty messages people leave me on the YouTube channel. So it's definitely something to consider. I'm under the impression that most of them are wrong. And it's become very cliche to jump on that bandwagon and say things like Idaho's full, all of that, right? I get it. I don't want to live in a super populated place either. But what I tell them is folks are coming here anyway. The secret's out. Now it is very important to educate and make sure that we attract the right people to move here so that we can maintain this way of life and maintain the culture that is North Idaho. It is very community focused. And I think If you are interested in learning about the community of North Idaho, be sure to check out our podcast. It's on this channel. Those are the videos that tend to be about an hour long. And it's always us sitting down with a local community member and just kind of diving into what they're all about. There are some amazing human beings that live up here, and it is definitely one of the best communities that I have ever lived in by far, and I've lived all over the US. So very happy we moved here. Anyway, that's enough of that. Remember, guys, if you're thinking about moving here, don't call Joe Schmo, call us, because that's what we do. If you appreciate our content, this is exactly how we are in person. We hear that a lot. We have a great time doing this, and we are obviously, well, maybe not obviously, but we are good at the job too. So feel free to check out our website, northidahoexperience.com, and see the reviews, do all the stuff. We're here if you need us. That's enough. Shoot us a call, text, or email. We'd love to help you guys out if you decide to go that route. Thanks again. Catch you next time.